Welcome to the show, Diana. I'm super excited today. Um, First of all, what I want to do first is walk me through what you have going on right now in the business. Like, what does the team look like if you do have one? Are you a solo operator? And then what does your deal flow look like? And let's just dive into the operation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. So basically I am kind of a semi solo. I'm the one that's I we get leads coming in through like paper paid leads and as well as cold call leads. We have a company that we're connected with that they give us cold call leads. So my day looks like calling up, following up on these leads that we're getting, um, and also making appointments to go see them if they are wanting. And these are all locally here, in the back of my door, like maybe an hour radius. If that's like the farthest, I'll go out and I call them, inquire with them to see if they want to follow up on maybe selling of their property. And I just go out there and talk to them, and we talk about numbers, and we'll see if they are interested in selling and signing up a contract.
Okay. We're gonna dive deep now. So, this is just my guess by hearing your answer. So, before I get started, I have to ask you one question. Do you want me to be soft or do you want me to be direct on problem solving?
You redirect.
All right, cool. So, it sounds like we just based on the morning, right? Because we're like, hey, I gotta wake up, gotta make some calls, and hopefully I get some appointments. It doesn't really sound like there's much of a system day to day. Does that sound about right?
Exactly. Yeah. The
Okay.
system really is I just have everything into a CRM, and I'll schedule things in like a task or an appointment, and then I'll do whatever's on that CRM.
Okay. Awesome. What PPL company are you using, by the way?
Liberty Leads, and I was recently with Motivated Sellers.
Okay. Um, I don't know Liberty Leads, but I do have some recommendations to check out. I would look into Lead Zolo or Property Leads. Because well, there's lots of PPL companies, but we need to go verify your market and your cost per lead and all that first
Mhm.
before you go pull the trigger. So maybe after this episode, we can chat further about that. Um, and so when it comes to cold calling, let's go to the cold calling piece. You have other external cold callers right now?
The only cold cards I have is through the Easy Button,
Oh,
the
okay.
company
Awesome.
Easy Button. Yeah, they do all the cold calling, and then I obviously follow up.
Okay, cool. So
Those
essentially you're giving them data, they're calling, they're you
They actually give me they do all the data, they do find all the call the people, whatnot, and then they send it through my CRM, and they'll say this person is interested, and then there's like a breakdown of what they do. Like what questions they ask, what the answers are, how motivated they are, maybe what they're asking for, if that, what they've done to the house, what is maybe needed to the house, who lives there, um and then I just kind of follow up, and it's kind of a verification that what has been said is what we're dealing with, so that we can kind of structure a number based on that.
okay. And then so you don't how do you know if the data that they're calling is like true motivated sellers?
We don't. And and that's right now my biggest hiccup.
Okay.
That is my biggest hiccup right now, is just kind of reviewing yesterday with a friend, also in real estate, and we're using the same company, and that's kind of one of our hiccups right now. It's like, um, yeah, so we're kind of feeling like maybe the people are not necessarily motivated. The only motivation that's really bringing them is the number. That's
Okay.
the only thing that's going to motivate them to sell.
Well, first of all, the one thing I can already like appreciate and you should be proud of right now on this call is that you're taking action. Okay.
Yeah.
Cause like 99.9% of people that want to desire this to work out, they just sit in like freeze and fear. Okay.
Mhm.
So, one, just like hats off, you're taking the action, you're getting on the phone and you're doing what you can and what you know. Um, I think the first thing is, we gotta start somewhere, but there's 2 issues I see right away.
Yeah.
One is that we are hiring a cold calling company that we don't even know what they're dialing, how they're operating, and you're paying them your hard-earned money to not even know if they're calling the people that you should be working with, okay? So, I think we have to fix that first. Actually, I think that's second, okay? The other thing that I'm hearing through this conversation, and I could be completely wrong, is that we're getting on the phone. We think they're surface level conversations because it's all about the number. But what I am not getting a feel for is, do we feel confident in the process we're following once we're on the phone? Like, or do
That
you
100%.
feel okay? So then is each conversation, this is what I see a lot, right? Like, I think that we have these workshops every month. And so every workshop, people come out and they're like, well, I'm just really good at talking to people. And I'm just like a personal, empathetic human being. And I love making rapport. And like, I know that I can talk to people. Right. And what happens is, and I don't know if you've ever played a sport, but I always compare things to sports. So let's just say you were to ever bring someone onto your team someday so that you're not, waking up in chaos all the time, which it sounds like we're doing, right? And we can't pass on the process that you're doing right now because there isn't a process. And the other big thing is if you sent me 10 of your calls with sellers, your last 10 calls, my guess is none of them are following a process. So if I were your coach and I went to coach you, which you should be getting, well, you can coach yourself too, right? Like we can teach you that skill set. But if I were to take 10 calls and you weren't following a process, it's really hard to give feedback on what to fix because the next call, you'll just be winging it again. And so the first thing I would want you to do is we've got to follow a proven check the box sales process because why would we go invest more money in marketing first if when the lead comes in that I just spent all this hard-earned money on, if I don't feel confident I can convert that lead? And so I always tell people, "Hey, like don't go spend more money for now. Right now, we've got to master acquisitions because I want you to feel confident that if this person wants to sell, I am going to make money off of them." And that then leads to the next thing, and I'm not gonna go too deep into it yet, but it sounds like they wanna sell, that's not the question, but it might be retail. And so then they might need to get referred to an agent. They might need a different exit strategy. So we might not be looking at all the various ways that we can make money off this person who says they wanna sell. But it all starts first, in my opinion, with you feeling confident that in once you get in front of a seller, you will be able to convert them if they wanna sell. And so to put that into perspective, and I'm just curious, have you ever been in, like, a newbie coaching program or anything?
No.
Okay, so how did you end
I
up
think
learning real estate?
just family.
Okay, so
But
is your family in real estate then?
yeah.
Okay,
That yeah, where I come from a family with just stay yeah, a lot of, like, properties and stuff, and so me and my on both sides, me and my husband, so we were like, "Well, maybe we should start, getting some rentals under our belt, do some a couple of flips, we know how to do stuff." And we did 2 basically, we did 2 rehabs, last year. We got one right now currently on the market. So we that's kind of where we kind of really started. We're like, oh, we're just gonna do some rehabs, get some money in our pocket, and then we go and we invest in another state where that's where we have our rentals at. We
okay,
have a couple of rentals. Because it's a lot less expensive over there, and there's obviously some more cash flow.
yep,
Um, so that's what we originally just kind of wanted to start, and then we obviously started getting into more deeper into the leads and paying for this and paying for that, and now we just like it's become kind of like a wholesale thing now.
yeah. So what
Um,
made you, I guess what made you want to continue to invest in, like, marketing, and what's the end goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish right now?
the end goal was to get faster properties to rehab, and obviously getting a couple of wholesales done so that we can keep on funding and having some kind of money in the bank, freely money, so that we could rehab these properties and go and keep on buying while we're waiting to sell, and then just kind of keep on going from there.
Okay. Do you have kids by chance?
We do, but they all are grown up, but we are grandparents.
Oh, wow, nice. Well, you look a
Yeah.
lot younger. I would never guess you were a grandparent, so you look
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm just curious before we, like, dive into tactical stuff, now that I hear a little bit more, um, one thing my mentors had always said is, like, "What's the end game? What's the end goal?" And, like, I could never answer it for a while.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like you really understand when you wake up in the morning? Because I know what it's like, 10 years ago, I was you. I was, like, going down to my basement, it was freezing, my 2 dogs would sit next to me, and I'd be like, "Okay, I guess I'll pull some lists today, I'll do the skip tracing thing, I'll get on the phone," and then I would get on the phone with the seller, I'd run out to their house, I'd panic, maybe get it in contract, then I'd come home and be like, "Okay, I gotta call the title company, I gotta do this, I gotta do that," and then I would panic the next day being like, "Shoot, I gotta go get another deal." And it was complete utter chaos, when I first got started in the game, and I'll never forget my mentor, doing this exercise with me, and if you want, I'll do it live with you right now.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a pen and paper on you?
I do.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, for those of you listening on the podcast, we'll make sure that we just cut this part, and I'm gonna give her 5 minutes right now to do this, and then, you'll just hear the answer after it happens, but I want you to take 5 minutes, and I'm gonna pause right now and give you the space, and I want you to pretend that money grows on trees. Okay. So, like, money is not a thing. And I want you to write everything that you want in your lifestyle, like, and be realistic, right? So, I'll give you some examples of the first time I did this.
Mhm.
Um, I really like, I was just waking up running a rat race. So, my mentor was like, "What are you even trying to accomplish?" And I couldn't really give him the answer. So, he was like, "Until you understand this answer, every day you're going to keep waking up just doing random things because you don't know what you're trying to reach." And so he had me get out a paper and, I'll give you an example of a couple things I put on it. So when I was younger, like before 5 years old, long story short, my father was a drug addict or a alcoholic, left, all this stuff. So, um, I didn't really have like real Christmases in the beginning that were, what I have now. And
Mhm.
so as I got older, I got this best friend when I was in kindergarten. Her parents are like stupid rich, and they would have a designer come to their house at Christmas every year and design every room with a separate tree and theme and all this stuff. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I remember writing on that paper, like, I would give anything when I have kids to be able to like have themed Christmas rooms because I never had anything like that. Right.
Love 'em.
So those were the types of things, like, I wanted to retire Josh's mom, I wrote all these things down, and then I thought, "Oh, I hope someday I can, like, do my nails every couple weeks, I can, not worry about getting my hair done," and I wrote all these things down. And
Uh-huh.
then for the next, we wrote them all down, it didn't matter what it was, if you want a car, a Lambo, don't care, I'm not here to judge, like, this is your life, not mine. And so then we take 5 minutes and we write a price tag down to it, and we say, "Okay, what would this cost per month realistically?"
Mhm.
We sum it at the bottom and we say, "Okay, this is my dream life. It cost me XYZ." Okay?
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Oh, now I know what revenue goal I have to hit because there is a rhyme, a reason, and a why behind this monthly amount." And too often people in our industry compare themselves to someone on social media, and they see, Billy over here with this nice car and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, this kid is 18. If this kid can do this, I can do it too. And I had all this anxiety. But the reality was, I had a very specific life that I wanted to hit. And once I got clear on that, every decision, every action, everything I did since that day has gone towards that goal. And every year I recalibrate this exercise because, as you hit goals, things evolve, things change, whatever. So after I did the exercise, I sat down with my mentor and I said, "All right, over the next 6 to 12 months, what are like 3 to 4 things on here that are realistic that I can make sure I go achieve?" Because once you achieve a few simple things, your confidence level goes up and you start feeling this progress towards success. And once you start to feel that, it really aligns you on purpose with what you're trying to go after, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause for 5 minutes and you're gonna write things down. And again, I'll give you another example. Taylor, she's in my one-on-one class. She sat at a workshop and she's like, "Well, I've always had my whole life wanted to build an orphanage in India." There's like
Mm.
a whole reason why, okay? And I said, "Why haven't you done it?" She's like, "I don't know. I don't know how to do it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's a knowledge gap." So let's go figure it out. We figured out how much it would cost. She's now built 2 since that workshop. And
Wow.
so but without putting it down, understanding how much it cost, why we care about that, we don't ever go after it, okay? So I'm gonna pause, it's 12:17 right now, I'm gonna come back on in 5 minutes, and I just want you to write as fast as you can of anything that you want, okay?
Okay, got
Alright,
it.
5 minutes.
5 minutes later.
Alright. While you're doing this exercise, I want you is there anything that, like, stood out that you didn't realize was important?
Um, Not really. Maybe the only thing was really buying my husband a truck, getting my husband a truck.
What w what's holding you back from getting that today? Just finances?
Yeah,
What's he
yeah.
drive today?
Right now he goes between our 1990 Camry and our 2002 Acadia.
Oh. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I was just driving my 2000 CRV until the damn thing died recently, so,
And
um,
he doesn't mind it. He doesn't mind it, but he's always wanted a truck. But he's like, that's it's just too expensive. But
I'm just
yeah.
curious, because I noticed, something special about you is that the first thing you brought up was something for someone else. What did you put on there for yourself? It's okay.
I actually put some stuff here for myself. I put spend more time with family.
So time. Did you know how to put a cost to that or no?
I did. I put $1,000 a month because that was probably what it would cost for gas, going out to eat, maybe, wear and tear in the car, whatever.
Okay. And then so I can relate to that a lot. I remember, when I first did this, I'll never forget, my father owned a construction company back in the day when I was growing up, and for every year for Christmas and all, like, the major holidays, he would invite everyone that worked for him and their family and kids to our house, or he would go to a cottage, and he would treat their whole families because he wanted to make them feel, like, at home, and I remember, like, his number 1 priority was always including us in everything that he was doing, and now today, on my paper, when I first filled that out, I said, "Oh, I wanna be able to do that for my company someday."
Oh,
And so
yeah.
every year now for Christmas, my whole team comes out to my house and we give Christmas presents and all that, and, like, it just feels good being able to do those things both
Mhm.
with my company and with my own family now.
Yeah.
That wasn't always like that, just so you know, like, it took years of sacrifice to get to where I am today, so I don't want you to look at who I am today as if, like, don't compare yourself to me today, it took a decade to get here. And so I know that that time is special for you. What else did you put on there that's for you?
I just put retiring myself and vacation. Vacation I put, so that's something for me. I don't know if it's not, maybe not like my hair. I didn't put anything that have to do with my hair or anything like my nails or
Yeah.
but I also put something going out, just kind of volunteering in the community, just serving and helping others. So
Okay,
that's kind
so
of fulfillment of yourself of doing good for others.
well, 1, you're an amazing human being. It sounds like you care deeply about other people. I don't know you well enough or about your history, but I can already tell that, like, you love human beings, so you're a special person. Um, and that time and connection, it sounds like the connection part is important to you.
Yes.
What did you put as a price to that time? Like, what do
I
you
put I put $2,000 for that.
okay. Um, I want you to take a step back. What is the most expensive thing on there, by the way, that you put?
Our retirement. So it's $10,000 a month for each one of us.
Okay, so 20,000?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what market are you in again?
In California.
Okay. So like deals in Cali, just for my other students, like an assignment's probably an average of 40,000 and a flip's more than that, right?
That would be amazing.
Well, how much are you making on those first flips? Are you making money on the first one that you sold?
So that is a whole story. We have not been able to sell. We had to convert that into a rental. The first
Okay.
rehab we did, it was meant to do a flip, but some stuff happened, so we had to convert that into a rental. And so obviously we haven't made any money on that. And we're paying for the, whatever it is that costs us to rehab it. But the second one, we have it on the market. So we're hoping that this second one that we are going to be able to, get an easy 60,000. We're hoping. Um but that's going to pay for the first flip, for this flip, and then obviously for all this, other stuff that I've gotten myself into for, the whole selling and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, we still haven't got anything positive.
Okay.
Right? We're still going to owe stuff.
Okay. So I can tell you're probably a little hard on yourself about that. And I want to tell you, I don't know if you know my story, but I lost money on my first 4 flips. I lost $106,000 on my first flip, and it was in conjunction with another property that I had the same GC on. I had a problem. I still own the damn thing today because I had to refi it. The other
Uh-huh.
one I just took the loss. And I will tell you, I just want to share this story because you're probably feeling like down on yourself a little bit about it. I know I was, but if it wasn't for that situation, to be honest with you, I had no other choice but to win
Yeah.
during the time. Like, I had to make up for the loss. I didn't have the money to lose. And that was the day, that I got educated. So, like, I got educated on wholesaling because 'cause I'd only really known flipping.
Uh-huh.
And so, I'll never forget, somehow my husband, still supports all my crazy ass ideas these days, but, um, it was like 2 in the morning, and that day I had called like 5 local wholesalers. I'm like, "How did you learn what you're doing?" And at that time, a decade ago, they had told me about this, company in Phoenix. I booked a flight, went out to their event, and I'll never forget being at this event, and they all kept saying the word assignment in the room. I'm like, "What the hell is an assignment?" So I stood up and I was like, can you tell me what an assignment is?" And they all started laughing at me and they're like, "Hey, you can like sell this piece of paper." So I said, "Oh, this is great." Like, I had 5 houses in contract to go flip. I literally ran out of the room and I was like, "So I can call these buyers and they'll buy this piece of paper." And I called the title company. I'm like, "Who do you got that will buy this paper?" So they sent me to the top buyers in town and I sold them and made $200,000 after that. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have gotten out of just the current mess, okay?
That's
Um,
amazing.
and
Amazing.
the one thing I can relate to you on is it's not that you don't have work ethic. Like, I have a work ethic out the roof. It's that I just
Yeah.
didn't know what I didn't know. And what was happening in my first 6 months was, I joined this program and I was like, "Okay, I gotta produce leads. That's all I know I gotta do." So I went and I dropped, dabbled in mail, got a cold caller, all this. These leads would come in and I would panic. I'd be like, "Josh, you take it." And then I was scared. I'd go out to these sellers' houses and I would waste all this time at a house. Okay. I had no process, rhyme or reason, anything I was doing. And the whole thing literally just crashed. Um, so ultimately, what I learned through this whole thing, which is why, results driven came about, was the reason I wasn't finding success is because 2 things. I just didn't know what I didn't know. I wasn't educated.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we allow ourselves to be this alpha woman that is a strong human being that says, "I can do this. I will figure it out. I'll go watch these YouTube videos. I will do this and I will figure it out."
Yeah.
The problem with that is you're going to pay one of 2 ways, right? And right now you're paying because you're trying to figure it out on your own. So
Yeah.
you're paying this company that you don't even know if you should be paying. Like, if you want, I don't know them, by the way. I don't even know who the owner is, but I can tell you I don't like the sounds of the company and I don't think you should be doing it. But and 2, it's like, or we pay down this path where we get guidance and do it right from the start. And the problem I'm seeing here is that you took the action, you're getting leads, but you're not following an acquisitions process. So The problem here is you're blowing money with no confidence in a process on the back end. And if you could fix one thing right now, and there's a lot of things you clearly have to learn to get to where we're trying to go. But if you really want what's on that paper, you won't ever get it without that process being locked down. Like that is an absolute black
Yes.
and white. If you actually want that time, if you want to be with your family, if you want that truck, it doesn't matter if you can't convert a lead that you go spend money on. So, screw hiring someone right now, all that stuff. Right now, you have to be thoroughly trained on a process to convert that lead. Because what happens is it holds people back in the industry to invest into marketing or leads because they're scared of, well, what if I don't convert it? I can't blow this money. Right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
instead of waking up today and spending more money on these leads, we've got to lock down an acquisitions process. And I want to give you some let's zoom out. I have a team of closers, right? I do not hire anyone with real estate experience in my company. So they all come in, to give you an idea, my sales leader he was originally at an eyeglass shop. My other closer was working for a construction company. Other closer was a computer person somewhere. And the reason why I want to say that is because with really good onboarding and training, it only takes 2 weeks for you to understand the process, and then probably a week or 2 of hands-on help so that you work out the kinks, right?
Uh-huh.
And every closer I've ever hired with a proven process, they get 5 to 7 contracts in their first 30 days on the phone.
Wow.
So to put that into perspective for you, that would be life-changing for you, okay? And right now, I can appreciate and respect that you are putting in all this energy and effort. But the energy and effort and time and money that you are doing right now is going to guide you in roundabout circles if you keep continuing to just wing the sales process. Okay.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot to learn in marketing, but it doesn't matter if you can't convert the lead. And my guess is when you do get someone on the phone, you're going out to a seller's house, wasting hours because you're a nice human being, probably pouring into them. And you go back home and you feel defeated because you're like, I just blew half my day at this person's house. I didn't get the contract. And now you're stressed because you're like, I got to get back on the phone. I got to figure this out. I got to get the next deal. And it's a rat race.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So there are 2 things. I mean, we could talk forever about all these things that have to be mastered. But right now, you're in stage 1 of doing this. And stage 1, I call survival. And that's where we are. Well, you can probably agree. You feel like you're in survival right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that means your finances are probably a mess. Every dollar that you get, you're like, okay, I can get another cold caller. I can get another lead. I can do this. You're relying on 1 or 2 marketing channels. And you're just super reactive. You're running to a house and then you're doing this, you're doing that, and you're just trying to survive. We
Yes.
have to take a step back because we can't graduate to that next stage without a check the box proven acquisitions process, or you will continue to blow money. So, what the second thing to this, I'm just curious, how did you pick those companies to work with for your marketing?
It was social media that I saw that I think the motivated sellers was something that came across, I think also social media. I think all of them was social media.
Okay.
And so I just inquired it and then I was like, oh, this sounds like a good thing. And actually motivated sellers is the one that we have right now, the flip that we got going right now, that's on the market. We got that one from them.
Awesome. Yeah, I do use them as well. I don't I'll be honest, I don't think you should use that cold calling company, but we can take that offline. I don't agree with how it operates just by hearing it. You should want control. And to be honest with you, I think you're in a stage right now where you should be the cold caller. And we should then spend the money on the right sellers, the right data. And as long as you get confident in your acquisitions process, let's not rely on some person we don't know what they're doing, what they're calling, what process they're following. You're literally taking that piece of paper that you just wrote on you're handing it to someone you don't even know who's on the phone and putting your whole life on the line for not knowing what the hell they're doing. Okay. So I would rather in the beginning, let's take control and let's you invest in yourself, not them. Okay. And I want you to master that process. And then we need to get the right data. And so the biggest mistake, and I made this mistake when I first got started, was I get it because when we're like newbies, we got to get our jitters out and we take all this cheap data and we throw it into a dialer and we press go. But here's the reality, like absentee owner and this cheap data is cheap for a reason, right? Like they're not guaranteed to be motivated. And
Yeah.
so the one thing I do like about them when you're newer is that you can get your jitters out, get your process through, whatever. But the reality is we want to spend that few dollars you have today on allowing you to get in front of the most distressed people because you'll feel more confident in your ability than some random person overseas who don't even know what they're doing. And so like I'll give you an idea. So like AI data and courthouse data 100% are the most distressed data out there. And I don't know your budget. We don't even talk about that live on this right now, but if I were someone listening to this podcast and I had under $1,000 or $3,000, this is exactly what I would be doing. I would go buy AI data. I can drop a link or me and you'll chat with this after. It's like $500 a month for unlimited niche AI data across, as many counties as you want. Okay. I would put that into a dialer and I would follow a process and you be the one that is going to lock that up. Okay. The next step, depending on the budget, is I would buy courthouse data. So, like your probates, your foreclosures, evictions, all that. The beauty about those lists, because you sound like an empathetic problem solver, you care about people. Okay. So did I. So, when I started my first year, the only list I called was probate and foreclosure. The reason why was because I knew if I got you on the phone, I was so good at solving your problem that some other random wholesaler that's just fly by night isn't going to understand how to solve your problem. Like I'm going to put in the time and energy to get creative with you. So I educated myself on the local foreclosure process and the probate process just so I knew what questions to ask and how to solve their problem. So what we can do is we can go to like a chat GPT and I have a prompt for this and we can say, hey, in my local county, city, state, walk me through the process of the foreclosures. And if I'm talking to a distressed seller who's going through this foreclosure process, what are some things I need to make sure I clarify with them in this process? And it'll give you like 7 or 10 questions. So for example, a foreclosure, hey, do you have a statement of your latest mortgage of how much you're behind? And then, there's things like that we have to get that are outside of just your day-to-day acquisitions process. That makes sense?
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
I actually, that's one of the things that our first one that I was telling you we had to convert into a rental, that actually was a foreclosure. And that's kind of one of the original tactics that I was trying, was focusing on the foreclosure. And I was also going to the courthouse here, pulling out notice of default, as well as, the trustee notice of trustee of sale. And then I would go and I would door knock them and talk to people, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously I got that one that and unfortunately ended up we had it to rent it, which is fine. It's still going to cash flow at someday. Um, and so I know kind of like I hear that, and there's obviously some other things I was thinking about that I've actually been as well doing, but I feel like I need to definitely, like, for example, water liens. Like there's so many like of that here. Here in the court, they everything is like APN number, and then they put the name of the person and then how much the lien is for. It doesn't tell you an address. So I've actually used a chat GPT, like, how can I easily find these APN numbers, like getting the addresses and whatnot. And I guess there was a thing I had to purchase possibly to plug in these APN numbers and get all of these addresses. Um,
Okay.
so I can totally relate to what you're saying. And that is honestly, after just kind of yesterday having these conversations that I was having with another guy, I was like, I felt like I was doing fine there. Like, this is how I started.
Like I felt good. I was out and about. I was getting the list. And I was having conversations. But then I started doing the wholesaling, and now I feel like I'm just here in this room calling and calling, and then sometimes going out, and I feel like I'm just going crazy.
Yep, I know what it's like. So, how much are you spending on those cold callers right now a month?
They are, I think it's 3,000 every month,
Oh,
and they're
man.
supposed to pump 60 leads every month.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna stop doing that, okay?
So that's
This is
one of them. That's one of them. And then obviously I had the other one, the motivated sellers I did stop because I already have finished the credits, and then I had still have some credits with Liberty leads that I haven't got a lead in, I don't know, a couple of months. So there's still funds there. But yeah, I think this is March, I think is my last month with the company. So I think I'm gonna have to just halt because I'm not really getting the motivation of the sellers because they really don't have motivation. There's no pain. They
okay,
have no pain. There's no pain. All they know is like, well, give me $1 million for my $500,000 house and I'll sell it to you. Like, who wouldn't, right? That's the only motivation that they really have. Like 99% of them. That's kind of what I continue to stumble across.
okay. So, and what did you sign a contract or something through March?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, what I want you to do, and just to consider, okay, this is my own personal advice, is, and anyone listening to this, to be honest with you, you're in a stage right now where ultimately you have to master the acquisitions process. And since there is a budget involved, I would rather see you take that $3,000 and I will put you in touch with understanding we call it first to market strategy, and we work with Data Sift on this. So what they do is they take the latest courthouse data and they have AI niche data. So I'd rather you spend, I don't know what it is right now. I think it's like 500 a month to get unlimited. Okay. We have a lot of students that are doing this. And then you're getting on the dialer and we're going to master acquisitions. So you're going to spend less than likely 3,000 a month unless you decide to get a VA to help you do the other work. Then we might have to pay for a VA. So you'll make that decision once you understand the process. But I want you in control of that process. Okay. And then once you get some deals going and then you have the money to reinvest, then we can delegate off. But let's get you going because what's going to happen is you are going to likely get some deals. And then you're going to come back to me and you're like, I'm running around rampant. I have deals. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. And then we're going to be like, okay, we need to hire someone else then. But we're not there right now. Okay. And we have a tight budget to work with. So we need to focus our time on the most distressed people. And now, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, well, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars of saved and I'm starting out newer, then I have a different plan for you because you can go drop, 15 grand on PPC and let the leads come to you or whatever. But most people, including myself, when I got started, we don't have that. And so we need to go with the budget. We got to master the skill set ourselves and then go from there. So what I want to do is we're going to get off this. I'm going to put you in touch with them. I believe actually, what week is it? I believe next week actually is they do the training. It's a daily training the first week of every month. So I'll get you in that training for next week.
Okay.
It's the 9th through the 13th. My team just said it's the 9th through the 13th is the next round. And it's like, by the way, I'll try to get you in for free, but it's like $27 just so you know. So like it's not, and it's with a different company. It's not even with me. But what I want you to do is my personal opinion, cancel that cold calling company, even try to get out of it now and complain that they're not living up to their contract and try to get out of it. Because it sounds like they're not delivering what they promised. And I personally would ask to cancel the contract. Obviously, you can handle that however you want, but that's what I would be doing. Then I want you to take that money and I want you to get actual distress leads. And then I want you to do the sales process. I'd rather see you invest in yourself. Okay. How do you feel about that plan? Because what you're doing today is not getting you to the goal on that piece of paper right now. And right now it sounds like you're kind of operating like sporadically.
Yeah, no, definitely. It sounds like the peg because like honestly, I was just talking about this yesterday with my husband and actually day before, like just telling them what I think I'm gonna have to do. And he's poor guy, he's like working and working and I'm just like spending and spending. But I told him, he's like, well, if that's what you feel you need to do, it's like, okay. So I think I kind of already had that down. Like this is gonna be like the last month of this, and I do have an appointment to talk to the individual, and just to kind of raise my concerns about, which I should have done a long time ago, but I didn't. But it's all right. It's a process in learning.
Yep, I get it. I've been there. So what I want you to do is have that conversation and follow up with me if you don't mind.
Hmm.
And just be firm. Like at the end of the day, it's no different than I'm a business owner. I have thousands of students. And if one of them came to me unhappy, like the last thing I would want you to do is share an unhappy story about my company. And so I would never like hold someone to being like, okay, well, you're not satisfied with me. So I'm going to force you down this path. Okay. So at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if it's not giving you the what was promised or you thought you were buying, like I would just have that conversation. Okay. Because it's taking you away further from where you're trying to go. And then I want to get you in this cohort of this marketing class that my own team just went through. We are now following this process as well ourselves. And
Hmm.
it's probably they are doing what I used to do back in the day, but very fly by night. I was like sporadic with it. But they have created a whole streamlined process of
Hmm.
taking the most distressed sellers from the courthouse. And then the key though is you have to master acquisitions. Without it, I wouldn't spend the money.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree.
So,
Acquisition process is definitely where I need to definitely focus on for sure. That's the number one thing here.
okay. And then what I want you to do is after this podcast, since we only really spent like 5 minutes doing that exercise, when my mentor had me do it, I did it for an hour and
Oh
just
wow.
really like take a step back, like sit in the sun and be real with yourself. Like, what is happiness for me? Okay. Um, and the one thing that and I actually, me and Ace were just talking about this. My paper has evolved over time. And, as I've had kids, I've gotten older, like, now time is more important to me. When I first did that, I wanted my nails, I wanted this, I wanted that, and now I'm like, I just want my time with my girls, okay?
Yeah.
So what does that cost me? And I got
Yes.
really real with myself now. And so it sounds like you're already down that path. You probably have a lot more wisdom, you're a grandparent, and, let's get really clear on that, and then let's pull out 3 things to say, "This is what I'm doing." Every day that I wake up, I am going after this piece of paper. I'm gonna frame this damn thing and put it right next to my bed. And,
I love
you
that.
will be blown away now because your focus has a reason and a why to where we're trying to go. And it sounds like your lifestyle is a deal a month. That's all it is. That's not that hard. Once you learn the process, I promise you, a deal a month is gonna like, once you get the first few, you're gonna have so much confidence. You're gonna look back at this like I did, because I remember back then I was like, 1 deal a quarter. And then I finally learned a process. I got 3 deals the next month. I'm like, "Okay, 3 deals a month." And then it went to 5 deals a month, and, we grew it from there. But ultimately, we just have to get the process in place, get the first few deals, because your life's gonna change when you start to feel that.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, what I wanna do as next steps, if it's cool with you, I'm gonna touch base with you after this, me or Caleb, because I think you were chatting with Caleb.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna call that company and try to get you into that cohort for you, but you have to commit to showing up to it every day because it's, like, so detailed that you don't wanna miss a day or you'll be lost, okay? It's 5
And
days
that.
long. It's,
Mhm.
like, 2 hours each day or something like that, but I'll put them in touch with you, they'll explain it. All my one-on-one students, they just recently went through it as well. So, I think it's the best option out there if you're someone on a budget, hands down. And it's affordable. The only difference is you gotta put in the time on the acquisition side. And the last thing anyone listening to this that has a budget of under a few $1,000s, do not outsource the most important piece to a cold caller right now. You are not in that stage. you're in that stage when you genuinely already have deal flow going, and we can then pass it off. But right now, you don't have that. So we've got to be that person.
Okay.
Cool. So I have action items on my end. I'm going to go take those actions. I'm going to follow up with you, get you into that class. And then what we should do is maybe schedule another follow-up episode of like, what did you learn? What did you take away from it? What actions are you taking? All that so that I can hold you accountable to doing the work.
Yeah. Sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
Well, when we get off here, one, appreciate you being vulnerable. Thanks for coming on. Just so you know, I can tell you care about people. This story is probably just, it's very relatable. And anyone listening to this podcast, their life probably just changed too because you decided to share your story. Okay.
Wow. All right.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. I'm going to go do my action items, follow up, and get you in that class. And then I'll make sure we're in touch right after.
Okay. Thank you, Tiffany.
All right. Crush the rest of the day.
Okay. Bye-bye.